I think we're live now. Can you hear me? Because this is my first time streaming and I'm so nervous. I hope I know what I'm doing. Just let me know in the chat if you can see me. Hi, Maisha. Is it Maisha or Maisha? I don't know, but hi. I am on, but blurry. I don't know what I can do about that. Oh, it's blurry. Okay. Is it blurry like it was before, Mom? Or is it a different kind of blurry? It's the same way? Oh, no. Well, all right. Can you see me? Is it better? I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit fuzzy. Mom, can you come in my room and help me adjust the light, maybe? And just turn the light maybe a little bit brighter. If I back up, is it better if I back up? You guys are so good. I love you guys so much. Thank you for helping me.
And you need it back up, just like our baby.
Okay. Yeah, maybe with it brighter.
And back up.
I'm backed up. Okay. Can you let me know how that is? Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
Perks of living not alone anymore. It's going well. All right. I'm so excited. This is my last Amway audio that I will be reviewing on this channel. This isn't the last Amway conversation we're going to have, but it is, it's the last audio that I have in my vault of audios. Can you see me better now with it being a little bit backed up? You can't see me better? Okay, Mom, I know you're in the other room, but I need you to type it in the chat box.
So digital.
Okay, I don't know how to fix that.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know how to fix it being blurry, but if you can tell me how to fix that, I don't know. There's really nothing else I can do about the lighting, so. All right. So backing up doesn't help at all. I don't want to back up too much, because then I can't see you all. This helps a little bit. All right. Well, we're just going to start. We're going to get into it. A few technical problems in the beginning, but now we're here. Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. If you are coming back and you've already subscribed, welcome back. Y'all are my people, and I love you so dang much. And if you're new, I hope you'll consider subscribing by the end of this live stream. First live stream event ever. Super excited. I was telling you guys before, if you've joined recently, this is my last Amway audio that I'm recording. Thanks, Mom. That I'm reacting to, but I will have more Amway content, more anti-MLM content. All of these books up on this top shelf are Amway book list related. Actually, I dug this one out of my basement today, Live the Let Go Life, which was the last book that my Amway upline gave to me, which I have I have a lot to say about this book. So anyway, but this is the last Amway audio. And because this channel and all of y'all have joined the squad, a lot of you have joined because of my Amway related content. I wanted to do this right and end the audio recordings with a bang. So this one is actually not an Amway Ltd audio. It was recorded on my upline Platinum's phone, and then he sent the conversation out to the rest of the team. So this isn't copyrighted. It was just sent to all of us personally. I will say that this is not specific to Amway. This is Amway Ltd Leadership Team Development. There are a lot of subgroups within Amway, so this isn't a representation of all of Amway, but it's the thought process behind a lot of Amway groups, including Ltd. So, but this was my specific team. This was my upline Platinum. And I cut down this conversation from 48 minutes to 26 minutes because the guy loves to hear himself talk. And I cannot be bothered to listen to that much of this guy. So let's just get started. I'm going to be watching the chat. We're going to figure it out. As you're listening to this, react in the chat and let's conversate about it. Okay.
How to create interruptions successfully. You have to learn how to create interruptions. Right? Everything that you're doing, I mean, there are people that you know of, people that can meet. Right? We have our A list, B list, C list. You have all of these different people in the world around you. You have to learn now how do you successfully create an interruption. That's really what we're all doing. And we're not waiting for people to kind of just jump in our boat. Okay? We're learning how to go out and be effective. Right? Becoming fishers of men, so to speak. Hey, you want to know which fish they never want to take a picture of? The one that jumped. They never want to take a picture of the fish that jumped into the boat. Now, I'm not a fisherman. But Joe, was that right? Yeah, you didn't catch it. You didn't catch that one. So it's like, yeah, it just showed up in my boat, right? And that's kind of like an employee mindset, right? Where they have this entitlement where they just kind of take a paycheck, right? Just give me the reward, I'm here, right? And they just hope everything happens. We have to be very mindful, very wary of that mindset affecting us with how we handle our business. Because if we're not careful, every time we go out, we're going to expect that we're going to meet the next diamond. Now, don't get me wrong, you should have a healthy expectation that you're going to meet great people all the time. But if the employee mindedness comes into it, it's like, hey, where's my fish? My boat's in the water. Where's my fish? And that's not how it happens.
Okay. Well, I can see in the chat that you guys can't really hear the audio that well, which is kind of a bummer, but also maybe we're all grateful that we can't hear him. So he started off by saying that we're all fishers of men, and there's a lot of value in going out and looking for people, like fishing for people. And he talked about how there's not a lot of value in, the fish that jumped in your boat. Like you have more pride in the fish that you actually had to go out and catch. So every time you go out to go talk to people and try to get them into your business, don't expect that every single time you go out to have conversations, you're going to meet your next diamond. Which, number one, I think he is acknowledging that it's difficult to find people who are actually interested in this network marketing, multi-level marketing thing. And he's basically saying you're not going to get lucky that often. You're not going to get people who are actually interested in this very often. So you actually should stop expecting that it's going to be easy, because it's going to be really difficult. And then he compares it to being employee mindset, where it's like, okay, I'm in the boat. Where's my fish? And I think that that's a way of looking down on people who aren't willing to work for it. And that's why there's a lot of people in Amway who comment on my videos saying, well, you didn't succeed because you didn't try hard enough, or you weren't willing to work for it. Oh, you probably got in the business and thought you were going to get rich quick. That's why you didn't succeed. Well, I was in it for 2.5 years, and every single day I went out into the marketplace to go start conversations. And I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I was trying to catch fish, and no fish jumped in my boat. Actually, I did catch one fish through the 2.5 years that I was contacting, but I don't know. And then when he said fishers of men, that's a biblical reference. And we've already talked about how disgusted I am by those kind of biblical references with regards to recruiting for your network marketing, your multi-level marketing company, where you're going to scam them out of all of their money. So let's get back into it, and let's see how far we can get with the audio. If it's not worth listening to the scratchy audio, this was recorded on his phone, so it's not the best audio quality to begin with. So it probably won't even be a technical error on our end. It's the recording itself. So
that's why people skills is so important, is because you have to press in and you have to develop, right? So that it doesn't cheapen the journey for anybody. Everybody knows they're going to have to work for it, and there's tangible work they can do for it. So as you're learning how to go out there and create interruptions, here's my approach. I don't go out thinking I need to make someone aware today. Right? I don't go out thinking I need to drop a message today. I don't think I need to go out there and this guy, I'm going to make him aware. I don't think about any of those things. Here's why. Because me thinking like that typically means I'm approaching it from a selfish perspective. What else would you call wanting to have a relationship with somebody that you don't know? Right? You ever think about this, right? Maybe back in the single guy days and the single gal days, right? You're in the club and you don't know this person that you're seeing, but you want a relationship with them. Why is that? Okay, so whatever that answer is it selfish? Yeah. Okay, it's totally selfish. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, right? So when we go out into the marketplace nowadays and we see somebody and we want to have a relationship with them, now again, come on back, guys. But when you see somebody out in the marketplace, a sharp person or a sharp couple that looks sharp, and you immediately want to, I'm going to sponsor that couple. Why did that thought come up? Typically because we're not thinking about them. We're thinking about what we want. When if we're thinking about them, we first need to kind of figure out, hey, do I have some relevant, is there some value that I can add to this person's life? Is there something that I can bring to the table?
okay, so then he's talking about every time he goes out into the marketplace being anywhere in public, he doesn't go out with the thought of wanting to sponsor them. He doesn't go with the intention of recruiting them. He knows not to come out with that very clear agenda, because people can automatically sense that you're trying to get something from them or you're trying to sell something to them. And then he likened it to being in a club and immediately wanting to really get to know the person. And yeah, it's like he doesn't want to come across as so thirsty for recruits. And he doesn't want to come across as like wanting to, as wanting something from the person, because it automatically creates a barrier. So let's hear what he does instead of having a clear agenda, which honestly, I would not have gone out every single day, including Christmas Day, when I was on vacation in Oregon, where like there's nobody I was going to sponsor in Oregon, but I still went out to have conversations. I'm not going to go out there to have conversations without an agenda. I clearly have an agenda. If I'm going out and having conversations like that and talking to the volume of people that you need to talk to in order to even get like a phone number, in order to make a connection with people, you have an agenda, number one. And number two, it's hard not to hide that agenda when you are clearly working super hard trying to build your multi-level marketing business. Obviously, you have an agenda. And to try to lie to yourself so that it doesn't come across as obvious that you have an agenda, it just, the manipulation and confusion within your own heart, like your own like cognitive dissonance with regards to what you're actually going out and doing, because you're not trying to recruit, but that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to network, right?
I won't know that until we get into an interaction. We won't get into an interaction until I interrupt the path that they're already on. So here's the way that I like to think about creating interruptions. And it's a very simple process. I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as I can. Some of you are like me, and you like to complicate things. So I'm gonna keep it as simple as I can. Ready? Being nice. That's it. Being nice to people. This philosophy has freed me up tremendously. Because back in the day, you know, people talk about back in the day, I don't know what day they're referring to, but whatever. There's a point in life where it's like you dread out there and talking to people. You dread just the thought of walking up to someone and having to say anything. And I'm going to combat that image. I don't think you should share that image of going out there and talking. I think you should just be nice to all of the millions of people you walk by every day. But if you just happen to make a habit of being nice and going out of your way to be nice, be vocal about being nice to people, right? And here's what it is to me. It kind of comes down to a couple simple ingredients, right? Good eye contact right off the bat. Make sure you have good posture, right? And good self-image, which is why you should work on that, right? But good eye contact right off the bat, right? And a very bold, confident, hi, how are you? It's no credit to your self-image to walk past another human being and not acknowledge that they're one of you, right? Right? And we avert our eyes and we look down, and sometimes we'll give the obligatory we'll grunt something. It's not intelligible. We don't even know what we said, but we'll just kind of grunt it like, it's like, oh, hey, how are you? It's nice to see you. And God forbid you actually compliment somebody and say something nice about them or to them. Right? Now, again, everybody's at a different point with their comfort level. I'm not interested in your comfort. I'm interested in your freedom. And here's what I do know. Compliments very often can lead to conversations. So you can begin to practice certain laws of people skills. And there's tremendous books in the system about this, how you can start applying these principles. But if you're just nice to people, what I've found is the vast majority of humanity will be nice back to you. And I don't have any expectation of it beyond that. Now, I do need to learn how to get good at starting conversations, but if I haven't even gotten to a point where I'm willing to just be nice to everybody, then I'm going to have a difficult time, because I'm going to try to force a conversation on somebody and it's going to come off unnatural. So just be nice to people. And along the way, you can even learn complimenting. And there are some different strategies that are out there in the world, right? Three different types of conversations that we've been able to hammer and nail it down to, right? It's general conversation starters. Right? Typically like, hey, how you going, man? This weather's amazing, isn't it? Right? That's general. It applies to everybody within the confines of your conversation. It applies to everybody where you're at. Then there's a specific conversation where whatever you say is only about the person you're talking to. And man, I like that color. That's like maroonish, right? That's one of my favorite colors. I like that fit. Where'd you get that? Right now we're talking about this person's sweater. Now, sure, I can say that to other people, but I'm talking to him and he knows that. So it's a very specific conversation starter. And then you also have the strategic conversation starters. And this is where you kind of develop some strategy, right? You're standing in the, what aisle, honey? You're standing in the greeting card aisle, and you're looking at retirement cards, and you see somebody else in the greeting card aisle also, because there's always people in the greeting card aisle, right? So you see somebody in the greeting card aisle, and you're standing there, and you pull up a retirement card, and you got two of them in your hand, and you say, hey, can I get your opinion on something? And he comes over, yeah. I said, well, a friend of mine just retired. Which one of these cards do you think is better? Right? And they're reading the card and they're giving you their feedback or whatever. And you say, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny because all these retirement cards seem like they're for old people. My friend's 35. They just retired. What is this person going to say? Right? Okay, now don't say it out loud. We're all kind of thinking what they're going to say. That's an example of a strategic conversation starter. Like you're planting something there. Like I already know what's coming. Right? I did this intentionally. Right? So the trick is, whatever your personality, whatever your flavor, whatever your flow is, right? If you tend to be more of a reclusive or maybe a phlegmatic type of a personality, and I'm not necessarily linking those personality types, but if you're more of a phlegmatic personality type and you're not the bold out there, well then maybe you're the kind of person who just likes to, just be complimentary and just kind of say hi, whatever. Maybe you're a general conversation starter and you know how to kind of work your way through it. Maybe if you're a choleric, you're like, hey, there's no other way to start this but this strategic. You know what I'm saying? Hey, dude, ask me what I do. Right? Okay, that's a little bit too forward. You got to back it down a little bit, right? You got to relax. But either way, it all started with what? Good eye contact. Oh, I forgot about the most important thing you have to have is a smile. Right? Some of you, we need to smile. We need to smile a little bit more. A smile automatically upgrades the value of your face. Okay? And some of you can use the upgrade, that's all I'm saying. No, I'm kidding, I'm just kidding. Right? But smiling, it automatically will make you much more approachable. Right? And it's funny because a lot of people are self-conscious about their smile, when here's what the research and all the studies say. It doesn't matter what your smile physically looks like. It's what it communicates that makes people so much more at ease when they see someone smiling. Right? So keep that in mind. Good eye contact, big smile, and a very bold and confident, hi, how are you? Hey, good to see you. Right? Again, it's a simple acknowledgement that I'm looking for nothing in return. I don't need anybody to do anything back because I said hi to them. That was
I just find that really funny that he's like smiling because he wants to assure them that he doesn't want anything in return from them. That's hilarious. That's so funny. I also just want to point out that this is from, yes, it's my upline platinum, which means he has 7,500 PV at least going through his downline. So he does have a larger business. But in the 2.5 years that I was in business, he and his wife personally sponsored one person, like one couple, who ended up being in business for like, I think I saw them at like 1 or 2 meetings and then they quit. So he's talking about recruiting downline and recruiting new legs to your business, but when he goes out and contacts, he hadn't actually made any new legs or actually recruited anybody in his business in the 2.5 years that I knew them. It's just insane to me. All of the fact that he can give these kind of talks and tell us how to be normal and natural in the marketplace when this clearly hasn't even worked for his business, at least in the time that I was in business with him. So it's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous. But yes, I think that, so I'll also say that this audio kind of ramps up. I know that I tried to title this video with like, you'll never see them coming. Like these people are stealthy. I mean, in some cases you can see them a mile away, and I'm sure that I was super obvious when I was trying to recruit because it's so unnatural to walk up to somebody in the greeting cards aisle and be like, you know, I was looking through these retirement cards, but they're all for older people, and my friend is 35. So, you know, what do you think about this card for my retirement, like for the guy who's retiring? I was like, that's not a normal conversation. And the fact that he was like saying that that's a very specific way to start a conversation, a way to really target them to like be curious about what you're talking about without coming across as too obvious. No, that's totally unnatural. It doesn't make sense at all. But I will tell you, there were so many people in my group who like, they trolled the greeting card aisles at grocery stores after he came out with this audio. It was so funny. I'm so triggered. This is why I've been putting off responding to this audio in particular, because remembering all of the dumb things that like the dumb conversations that I would get into is just, I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I remember this one time I was in Barnes and Noble and this lady was walking past me and I didn't really gauge how quickly she was walking. So I started a conversation with her because she was wearing like a Chicago Bears shirt. And I was like, oh, are you from Chicago? And she stops dead in her tracks and she's like, yes. And I'm like, that's nice. And I just kept walking. It was the most awkward thing. So I don't know. My face is getting warm with how embarrassed I am that these are the kind of conversations that I would start with people. I hang my head in shame. Anyway.
That's not me. That's not the house. Why? You're human. So am I sometimes. So that was not on the house, right? And if you're going to have it doing that, what you're going to find is your belief is going going to start going up just by doing that. What you're also going to find going up is the number of people you're doing that to. You're going to say, I mean, that's easy. I can say hi to people all day. Now, again, if you're one of these super focused people, then you don't understand the value of what I'm talking about. You just want to get into the conversation. Listen, relax. Everything's going to be okay. There's more to it than this. So, be nice to people. Be bold, confident. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for holding the door. Whatever. Just acknowledge people. A simple acknowledgement of their existence will go a long way. By the way, you're probably the only person who did that day.
This is key.
So you're already working well within the lines of people skills, of human nature. Everybody wants to be appreciated. I said, that's people skills. That's what that's like. You're the little kid in the park with the bubble gun. The minute you learn how to acknowledge people and make them feel special.
So this is key, and I don't know if you can hear the audio that well, so I'm sorry if it comes across as repetitive as I'm like telling you what he just said, but what he said is that you acknowledge people. Everybody wants to be appreciated, and when you acknowledge their presence, when you make them feel special, and he said, by the way, you're probably the only person who talked to them that day. He knows, number one, he knows who he's targeting. He's targeting the emotionally vulnerable people, the people who don't feel like they have friends, don't feel like they have a community, don't feel like they have a purpose in life. He knows exactly who he's talking to. And number two, I know that there's going to be some ambots in the comments of this saying he's being a good person and he just wants to make people feel special. And you can believe that. And I believed that for 2.5 years. But after losing so much and after finding out the real kind of people that he is and the real kind of people that my upline were, it's very clear the motivation was just for recruiting, just for keeping me in the business. And so when we're talking about people skills, we're talking about being able to deal with people. My upline platinum learned the secret of getting people to do what you want them to do. And that is to make them feel special and to make them feel acknowledged. And that can be used like in a normal way or with a very like, what's the word when it's like, it's just corrupt, basically. And it's a nefarious undertone with like making you feel special and making you feel acknowledged and appreciated. That's why when I was recruited, they gave me the book, The Greatest Miracle in the World, that talked about my value as a human and about how valuable my life is and how valuable life is in general. And you know, we're supposed to be rag pickers. He learned that principle and then learned how to use that to his advantage. So making them feel like they're valuable and making them feel like they actually can, you know, have value in this world, but all to his own gain. And personally, I don't think that's ethical. I think you can be a nice person. It's like, I think there's a fine line between just general sales and then manipulation. And this clearly goes into the realm of emotional manipulation, where you can see someone and make them feel acknowledged and make them feel like they're a part of a bigger plan, and then get them into your pyramid scheme and tell them about how this is God's plan for your life, and how, you know, you're destined for this and you're doing something great here.
So you're not trying to be a manipulative recruiter. You're just looking to put yourself in a position and give yourself an advantage early on of being around people, knowing people. Now, you may want to position yourself in a spot where you have some interest, right? I love working out. I love the gym. So it's easy for me to strike up conversations with people that work out, right? You know, we know that people who take care of their health typically have a sort of, a sort of wealthy mindset about them, at least, right? They value their health. So maybe we'll go and walk around a Whole Foods. Why? Because the perception is Whole Foods is expensive, whether it is or not. That's the perception, right? Just like the gym I work out at. The perception is regular mindset of I'm only willing to pay $10 or $25 a month for my membership doesn't go to my gym. But you know who does go to my gym? All the business owners who understand the power of networking. They understand the power that a single handshake on any single day can change the entire course of your life, right? And can become a totally different political currency. I don't mean to give off the business owners.
Okay, again, this was where my critical thinking was turned off through this whole time I was in Amway, because he's talking about going to Lifetime Fitness or whatever fitness, I don't know, whatever gym he went to that apparently costs a lot of money, or it has the perception of costing a lot of money. And so you don't get broke-minded people there. You only get business-minded people who value networking and value the, power of a handshake and an introduction that can change the course of your life. I don't know. He's just talking such a big game about how he goes to places that, I think he's going to mention, either he mentioned it before, or he's going to mention going to Whole Foods and shopping at a place where the perception is that you have more money, and you value your health, and you value, spending money in order to, invest in yourself. And so he goes to these places and fits in with that crowd so that he gains the trust of people who actually have money, who actually have a business building mindset or whatever. But I completely, I just missed that for 2.5 years, he never sponsored anyone, especially from those places. So what the heck was I doing listening to this guy? Like, literally, I'm sorry. This is me normally recording these videos, but you're catching it live. So you're getting the full, like, what the hell was I thinking moments. So, wow.
Creating interruptions, being simple, having fun, being complimental, to everybody that you see. Now, once you get into a conversation with somebody, there's different ways to steer it and to drive it in. And, sometimes what I hear people say is, I don't really know what to say to somebody. Like, what do I get to this part of the conversation and I don't really know what to say. And here's what I found. If you're genuinely taking an interest in people, you're automatically going to have questions naturally begin to occur. Right? I mean, if you actually are taking the time to care about what this individual is saying to you, well, then the inevitable result of whatever they just said is a question. More information, interest. Hey, tell me more about that. I'd love to hear more about it. So how did that happen? Right? Questions should start coming up when you're only interested in getting to your next point. You get stuck because you weren't really paying attention to what they just said. And now you don't see where you can slide your question in, so it comes out as frustration. What do I do? Wait, so I can't get past this part because you're not paying attention. You're not actually listening. You're not actually communicating that you care. Remember, people don't care. They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. I was like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Right? They hear your words, but they feel your attitude. And when your attitude is not speaking what your words are, you've created a flag in their mind. So this is why it takes time. Like, care about people. There's a reason you're here. This is a people business. You have to care about people, and you have to learn how to communicate the value of that caring. And again, this is why people build books and all the different audios are out there. Just be genuine and look for places where you can connect and compliment along the way. So, as you start starting the conversation, eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be a topic that comes up, the topic of occupation, the topic of work. They're going to say something like, what do you do? Or you're going to say something like, what do you do? Either way.
I just want to just kind of go over that with being genuine. I started to realize toward the end of my time in Amway that I wasn't being genuine, that I wasn't being honest, and that I was trying to steer the conversation and manipulate the conversation in ways that would not disclose too much information. As this is about to go into, I realized that there was no way for me to be genuine and actually care about someone while also in the back of my head trying to avoid certain things, trying to avoid telling them or disclosing too much information, trying to be secretive, knowing that I did have an agenda, because there's no way, you already know that multi-level marketing is going to be hard. There's a lot of multi-level marketing companies like Monate, Beachbody, Unique, even like whatever, cosmetic companies, but they're very obvious that they're multi-level marketing. They're very obvious about the product that they sell and the structure of their business. And that's where a lot of the anti-MLM on YouTube, like the anti-MLM content comes from. But why Amway recruiters kind of fly under the radar is because their recruitment tactics are so sneaky where you don't even know you're being recruited. You don't even know you're talking to an Amway rep, even though you can see that something's like fishy. Like, why are you talking to me? Why are we in the greeting cards aisle? Like, why are you really curious about me and like wanting to get to know me? We're in the grocery store. It just is weird and unnatural. But you don't know exactly what they're recruiting for because they won't give you that information. They're just being nice. They're just being genuine, and they're just caring for you. So it just, and what I realized was that I loved being genuine with people. I loved sharing love, joy, and peace. That's why on my channel we talk about meaningful success, and how I define meaningful success is living every day in love, joy, and peace. If I can live every day with a set of moral standards for myself and treat people kindly, that's a successful day. And I didn't feel successful in Amway. And I realized that I wasn't making any money, which, fun fact, I just became a health and life coach like less than 1 month ago, and I've already made more money coaching than I have ever on legitimate customer sales or legitimate upline, downline kind of income that I made in Amway in 2.5 years. So if you want to be financially successful, Amway is not the route. And if you want to actually feel good about yourself and feel like you're being a genuine person, this ain't it, fam. It's not it. There's no way to have a genuine conversation and talk to people and actually treat them like human beings while knowing that you're hiding an agenda in the back of your mind. It just sucks.
You'll probably find yourself in a conversation about what you do. You need to understand how to answer this question. What do you do? This is where you need to understand your story, and you need to know how to relate it. And I've been a big fan of not just, don't throw haymakers all the time. I don't know if you guys, if you're not a boxing fan, you don't understand what I mean. Haymakers are when you got the thing cocked back, you're wound so tight, man, they can see it coming. Like you said, so they see it coming, right? And if all you're throwing is haymakers, this consumes a lot of energy. So you're probably going to have a good 1 round of haymakers, and if you don't connect something, you're screwed the rest of the 9 rounds, right? So don't just throw haymakers. Learn how to slip the jab. And when I say slip the jab, here's what I do. Brandon and I had to learn how to plant powerful seeds. We had to learn how to plant powerful seeds. Why? Because if we just kind of threw everything out there right up front and they weren't ready for it, it ended up kind of creating a disconnect. If not, just tons of questions, right, within the gap. Rather than, here's what we should be looking to establish in any given conversation. We want to connect and lead. We want to develop the ability to connect with them, which is why we have all of that conversation before the conversation about what do we do. And then we want to learn how to lead the conversation, learn how to lead the interaction so that we can properly steer them where they want to go. Right? Just giving them some guidance. So connect and lead. This is what you have to get good at doing all throughout your process. Otherwise, the alternative is recruit. It's beg and sell. So either beg and sell or you connect and lead. You have to figure out which one you're going to get good at. The good news is if you choose beg and sell, you're probably already there. You're probably mastered this. Right? Most people are like, I don't like selling. It's amazing. As soon as everybody gets started in this business, they immediately sell this opportunity to everybody. Would you please do this? Here's why you need to do this, right? I mean, they're amazing sellers, right? But we don't want to sell this. Not the opportunity to sell your products, but have enough value in your opportunity that you're not willing to compromise it to somebody who just, maybe, I don't know, let's see. I'll hear you out. No, wrong answer, sorry. That's not for what we're doing. What we're doing is too important.
I love that he says what we're doing is too important. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? Let me know. Please tell me. What are you doing that's so important that you can't take a moderate amount of interest? if someone's like, yeah, I guess I'll see what the opportunity is. No, what we're doing is too important. It's funny to me. Oh, gosh. I used to think that we were on a mission to save the world. Like, I thought we were impacting people for the kingdom of God with these kind of conversations. Oh my God. Sorry. Also, knowing how to tell your story, knowing how to be genuine and connect and lead a conversation. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a good salesperson. I know I'm not meant for sales. But I'll tell you one thing. Like, you guys, if you've been with me for any period of time, you've heard my story. You know that I started my journey at 350 pounds. You know that I was in a really terrible place financially and physically and all that. And for me to be able to tell you that I've been on a journey of transformation genuinely, and then say I became a coach because I want to help other people go through the same kind of transformation, that's a very genuine thing. It's very upfront. I don't have to practice my story. I don't have to make sure that I'm avoiding certain things or avoiding telling certain details in order to create more questions and more disconnect with them, because I'm not worried about creating a barrier or creating, distance between me and the other person that I'm talking to, because I am being genuine, but I'm also being upfront about what I do. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a sales pitch, but it's just being real rather than having to make sure that you have to make a connection and lead and plant seeds along the way. Like the mental matrix that you go into trying to have a conversation with people in the marketplace without telling them that it's Amway, it's causing me anxiety right now because of how many conversations I'm like, I don't know the answer to this question. It's a basic question like, what do you do? Or what does your business mentor do? And like, the fact that I don't know how to actually articulate the answer to that without giving too much information away, it's just, talk about red flag. Oh my God.
You have to do is be honest about your industry. And you don't have to be so nitty-gritty specific, right? Well, I work at XY. The name of the company I work for is XYZ Company. It's located at, 2253 Irrelevant Drive. And, it's 33 degrees south of you just relax. You don't need all that information. There's some snippets out there. Hey, during the day, I work I'm in the healthcare industry. Been doing that a number of years. Things are actually going pretty well. But, what's interesting is, outside of that, things that I've been doing actually got me kind of staring at an early retirement. When was the last time you heard somebody talk like that, right? See what I did there? You just planted a really quick seed, talked about the industry. You didn't rag on your industry. Man, healthcare job sucks, my boss sucks, life sucks. Obviously, my attitude sucks, and no, you didn't do all of that, right? You kept it really simple, kind of need-to-know basis, right? I work in whatever industry that I work in. And if it's a crappy industry, right? Like if you're a grocery bagger at Jewel, well then hey, I work in retail. Right? Just keep it as simple because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, is the point. I work in XYZ industry. And things are going pretty well there. Really, really loving a lot of what I'm doing. But what's funny is outside of that, some things that I've been doing the last little while have got me actually staring early retirement in the face. Now, I give it 2 more years before I'm no longer working for other people. And then I follow it up with a question. Why? Because I want to engage them. Right? We're still having a conversation. As a very much matter of fact, I want to engage them. Hey, when was the last time you heard somebody talk like this? Now,
why did I ever think that was normal? Why did I ever think? Okay, literally, I'll give you my pitch right now. This is, you're asking me, ask me in the chat, what do you do, Sarah? And here's my answer. Back then I was working at a paint company. So, well, right now I'm working in the paint industry, but the craziest thing happened to me a couple years ago. I connected with this couple who ended up building a business asset that allowed them to retire in their late 20s, like early 30s. And I'm really excited to be working with them so that within the next like 2 or 3 years, I'll be able to retire from my job. What about you? What do you do? What is normal about that? No, it's not what's enticing about that, because that's just so abnormal that they have to ask more questions because they're so intrigued. What do you do that will allow you to retire in the next 2 years? Tell me so that I can learn from you. That's not the response that elicits. That just responds like, okay, thanks. Glad to know what you do, because it's so weird. Like, who walks up to you and talks to you about, yeah, like, right now I work this job, but in a couple years I'll have so much money I won't need a job. Like, nobody says that. And then for him to follow it up with a question like, when was the last time you heard someone talk like that? Like, what is natural about that? It just doesn't make sense. The only reason why it makes sense for him to say it is because he was so arrogant and narcissistic that it totally would make sense that he would say that. When was the last time you heard somebody talk like that? Yeah. Like, are you impressed? Like, it's just so embarrassing. Like, no wonder I was still doing huddle plays and having to like talk to my upline every time I had a conversation with someone after 2.5 years of being in the business. Because after 2.5 years, this was not the only time that he said this. He actually starts this audio. I cut it out because it was too much time. But he starts this talk saying that every time we talk about this, you're going to pick up more information. And then there's certain stuff that you won't absorb. So the next time we talk about it, I'll just have to say the same thing over again. And it'll click then, because it'll take repetition and practice of hearing the same thing. So that's why every single week we would have trainings and we would have conversations and night owls about this exact same tactic. Because after 2.5 years, I still didn't know how to tell my own damn story. And that blows my mind. It blows my mind that I still didn't know how to communicate what I did after 2.5 years of doing it. It's just funny how manipulative everything is and how unnatural this is, that it's so hard to learn how to tell your story and what you do for a living.
Here's what I want to evaluate. Does this person have a self-image? Because if they do, that should have piqued some kind of interest if they have any kind of self-image. I want to evaluate this. If somebody doesn't have a high enough self-image to whatever, then I'm not necessarily interested in entertaining the rest of this conversation, because I realize I'm going to have to carry the bulk of their weight on my shoulders. And it may not be a good mix, a good matchup. Now, that's not to say that I won't exchange information or keep in touch or maybe even open a door. But as of right now, that's my thought about it. Of course, no.
So this is an interesting narrative that he's crafting. It's an interesting dynamic that he's trying to set up. The fact that you say something so unnatural, like, I'm working in such and such industry, but in 2.5 years, I'll be retired from my job because of some people that I'm working with on the side. You say something unnatural like that, and then if they don't respond positively, or if they don't respond with genuine interest on what you do and want to learn more, it's because they don't have a self-image. It's because they don't think that that's possible for them. Therefore, it's not, you're not being rejected. You're not being weird. It's the fact that, oh, they just don't have a good enough self-image. And if they don't have a good enough self-image, I don't even know if I want to work with them. So then you really never feel like you're actually failing. You never actually feel like you are being rejected, or that you're having the sales pitch over and over and literally nobody wants this opportunity. It has us thinking, oh, okay, so when I go out into the marketplace and everybody thinks I'm weird, it's because they have low self-image. And it's the same us versus them mentality, like with employee mindset or working in JOB and the people who just want to work a job. They put down the intelligence and the drive and the work ethic of people who don't want to do this business, so that when you're rejected, you understand that you're better than them. It's messed up because, number one, it makes you a jerk. Like, if you're in an MLM and you think the people who are not in your business are just too stupid or too, low self-image to understand what you're doing, you're a jerk, number one. And number two, you're a victim. You're a victim of that kind of brainwashing that would have people thinking that you're just one of the special ones who understood the opportunity. There's actually an audio in the LTD system called "We Heard the Music." We were the only people who heard the music. We were the only people who were actually like special enough to understand the message of this. So it's an interesting dynamic that he's crafting. The fact that, you can go out and talk to someone, and if they're not interested, well, then I'm not interested in you. I don't think I want to invest in a partnership with you because you're a liability to me. Well, it's like, no, they just saw your red flag because what you're doing is a scam.
Looking for, they were jarred by that, right? Again, going with the boxing analogy, you got your guard up, some of those punches sneak through. Sure, right? Slip their head back a little bit. Well, that's what that should have been to the person I'm looking for. It should have been the one that broke through, like, oh, because everybody's walking around life guarded. You don't know what to expect. So everybody's guarded. So what I said should have jarred them a little bit. Like, wait, huh? But say that again. What did you just say? Right? That should be the effect of it. What'd you just say? How's that happen? Well, now, since they responded well when I planted the seed and I kind of watered it a little bit with that question, since they responded favorably, now I'm going to make them aware. Now it makes sense to make them aware. Me making someone aware before that, here's what it felt like for me. It felt like you're going door to door, trying to sell whatever it is that you're selling, and when somebody opens the door, you're like, oh, good, you're home. Let me tell you what I got. You're home. Well, here's my portfolio of, and it's like, whoa, hold on. Who are you? What is this? What's going on here, right? They're not ready. So you take some time, prep them a little bit, give them a seed, and then when they're ready for it, they're like, wait, permission granted. What did you just say? That's what you can say. That's when you can tell your story. And, for me, here, the story comes down to a couple simple elements. Ready? Who did you connect with? What results did they have? And now, what expectation do you have of your own life because you're connected with them? And along the way, you may need to kind of tie in the idea that there was a process that you had to go through to get connected with them. Or the process that you had to go through to gain access to that level of information. So now, they're like, wow, that's incredible. And yeah, I would love to, holy shit, I would love to do something like that, right? Or whatever favorable response that they have. That's not the time to, if you want, I can open it. No, relax, slow down. Let's solidify this. Right, let's solidify it. Here's how I solidify it. This is me. I said, you know what? Maybe they have another question. How does that work? What's the name of the company? Whatever the question is, stop. I totally know where you're coming from. It's so funny. I can remember my exact reaction, and it was just like that. When I found out that people had created retirement-worthy incomes in their 30s, are you kidding me? Of course I had that question. In fact, I think people would be kind of idiots not to. So obviously I get that question very often. Here's what I was thinking when I had that question. I was thinking that although my job is going well, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. Although I'm making pretty good money, I'm not making money enough to live my life the way I really want to live it. Although I'm doing great in life, I don't have enough time with my family, my kids, and the things that matter most to me. So in my mind, when I heard him say that represented the possibility that I could have that. That's kind of where I was coming from. Tell me a little bit about where you're coming from. What makes you ask that question?
Okay. So number one, he's saying basically dodge the question. If they ask you what it is or what the company is or what your mentors do, just dodge that question and ask them a question instead that, solidifies their interest. But it's just funny because, again, in no real life conversation does this actually work and come across as natural. Number two, if you're going to say I get that question all the time. And, when I heard my mentor say that he was retired in his early 20s, I had the exact same question. Okay, well, that clearly indicates that you were recruited into something and now you're recruiting someone else into something. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. So it's funny because I say it's stealthy when really anybody who says this conversation, it's going to be very obvious that they're recruiting you for something. The only reason why I say it's Amway recruiters and they go undetected and you don't really know it's Amway is because they never say that it's Amway. But there's a lot of weirdos out there having conversations like this, and you don't know what they're recruiting for, but you know you're being recruited for something. And clearly they're stealthy enough to recruit people like me. And they know how to make people feel special. They know how to be genuine without an agenda. So yeah, clearly it works on some people, but at the same time, it's like, in what world would you be able to ask, like, well, what's the industry? What company is it? You know, I get that question all the time. And when I heard it, I had the exact same question. And, you know, I was thinking, well, this is like such a great opportunity, and I would love to have that kind of results in my life too. So what about you? What makes you ask that question? What makes you ask what company it is that my upline works for? I mean, excuse me, my mentors. In what world? I'm sorry.
And what I'm doing is I'm forcing them to slow down and own it. Tell me where you're coming from with that. What's your mindset on that? This, to me, is where this is the make or break factor for me. So whether or not I want to open a door for them. And not that they have to sell themselves to me like, man, I'm the best person. That's not in context, it doesn't make sense. But what they should be doing or thinking or saying is they should be mirroring some kind of, right, I just open the door for them to tell me what's their deal. Right? Man, I'm with you. If I could do something different with my life, I would love to. I hate my job. I love my job, but I want to do more. You know, my family hates me. My family loves me, but I want them to love me more. Whatever their story is, I just gave them the outlet to say it. By saying, hey, I had those exact same questions. You want to know why I asked that? Because this. That's why I was asking that. How about you? Where's your curiosity come from? What's your mindset on that stuff? Where's that coming from? So as they get talking and they say, man, what you're saying, it sounds so awesome. I don't know how I would ever do that myself. I wish I had an open door. Like, whatever they say, okay, that's now a sign to me that yes, this is somebody I should open the door to. And now I'm going to go into dropping the message. I never drop the message until I know exactly what they're going to say. So because of that, I never get a no. I never get no's. Because if I'm feeling it.
But as we've covered, he never gets yeses either. Like, he recruited one person. I'm sorry. I can't get over that. I can't get over the fact that I believed that everything that he was teaching me was going to lead me to getting a big business, when in the 2.5 years I was in the business, I never saw him sponsor. I only saw him sponsor one couple ever. And they quit a month later. It's just funny to me. I mean, it's sad. I have to laugh to keep from crying, basically. That's what the scenario is.
I don't even go there. Or I should say, unless I'm feeling it, I don't go there. So I never drop the message without knowing exactly what they're going to say. So here's how I set it up. I set it up, and I'll start with something like, I don't know that I would normally do this, but I'm really enjoying our conversation. And again, you remind me a lot of myself. Here's what I notice about you. And you authentically compliment them. Right? You seem like a very well-dressed guy. You seem like you carry yourself very well. And obviously, you have in my opinion, you have a gift of communication. Like, whatever you're going to say there, you have to be authentic. It has to be natural. Don't say something lame like, man, you seem like a sharp, ambitious guy. Don't do that. Be authentic. So, I wouldn't normally do this, but I see this and this and this about you. Now, my friend who I was telling you about, I have the ability to open a door to you.
I love it. Tamara, is it Tamara or Tamara? Not sure, but you're exactly right. You'd open the door to anyone. What are you talking about? I wouldn't normally do this. That's exactly what your agenda was. That was why you started the conversation in the first place. The whole point is to drop the message. We would have 90-day core runs. We'd have competitions as to how many times you can make people aware, how many conversations you can get into, and how many times you can drop the message. And dropping the message was more points than starting a conversation. because the objective is to start a conversation and be able to drop the message at the end and open the door to your mentors. So what are you saying? You don't normally do this. That's just a bold-faced lie, which is why it feels scummy, even though he's like weaving in little sentences like, what we do here is too important. We're fishers of men. We're doing amazing things, make people feel special. You're the only person that day that actually acknowledged someone and made them feel appreciated. Like, you feel like you're a good person going out and having these conversations, but at the same time, you know you're trained to say things that are obviously not true. It's just the cognitive dissonance of actually believing what you're saying or not believing what you're saying, but also thinking that you're being a good person for doing this and that you're fulfilling your life's calling and this is what God called you to do. But you're also not allowed to say the truth, like give honest details and then tell bold-faced lies like, I wouldn't normally do this, but you seem like a really sharp and ambitious guy. Or, you know, genuinely compliment them like, I see that you're really good at communicating and I wouldn't normally do this, but I'd make an exception for you. Like, let me introduce you to these people. Let me introduce you to my mentors. And I don't know what could happen from this, but you know, maybe they could mentor you too. It's like, it's so sleazy. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
That couple of times, I have the ability to open a door to them. Especially if I like someone and I see potential in them. But here's the thing. I wouldn't want to put my own credibility with them on the line as friends unless I knew that you were absolutely serious about what you just said. Talk to me about that. See what's happening? Forcing them to own it. Talk to me about that. And they continue to sell themselves. Now again, this works a lot. And sometimes it doesn't always come off this way. Sometimes this is repetitive to the person because they've been these, fluorescent green lights the entire time. You may not have to, but this is the general outline. It's a general outline. So as they continue, like, hey man, are you kidding? Am I serious? I'm serious right. Look, I'm serious right now. You want to do something about this? Whatever. Right? They're super serious. Okay, great. Well, I'll tell you what. If I were able to open that door, and now here's where the disclaimers come out. Here's where the posture setting happens. Here's where the distancing happens. This is where you put yourself in the driver's seat.
Okay, so you see how every single thing in this conversation, okay, let's assume that the person that we're talking to doesn't catch on to all of the red flags. I wasn't recruited this way, so to be fair to me, nobody approached me this obviously. But if someone were to ignore all of these red flags and actually go through this conversation step by step, how he's mapping it out, do you notice how calculated every single aspect of this conversation is? The power dynamics within this conversation being like, telling your weird story, like, I work for this industry and in 2.5 years I'll be retired because I'm working with these business mentors. Okay. And then asking a question like, when's the last time you ever heard someone talk like that? To flip the dynamic and put them on the spot so that they are engaged in a conversation. And then when they express any sort of interest, then pull back a little bit and make them work for it a little bit more, make them pursue the information a little bit more. And as he even said, I think he said it jokingly, but we all know that it's serious. The fact that, and they continue to sell themselves. They continue to say like, no, I would really be interested. No, like hook me up, please. And so you get them to sell themselves to you. So you don't feel like you're a recruiter. You're just opening up the opportunity. You're a connector. That's why they give them the book, The Go-Giver. And it's all about connecting people with the right people so that other people can succeed. And by that, you can succeed as well. So be a go-giver. Go connect people to these people. So then now that you have them selling themselves to you, then you distance yourself and you kind of say, like, the power dynamic shifts basically. And he says that, he's like, now this is where the distancing happens. This is where the posturing happens. And posture just means this is where you set yourself up to be the generous person. You're not begging and selling. You are connecting and leading. And that's posture. Everything is so calculated and manipulative.
If I were able to open it, right, I always commit last. I commit last. So they have to be wanting in order for me to be willing. Not the other way around. I don't want, and they're willing. How many times have you heard people say, yeah, I'd be willing to sit down and hear him out a little bit, I don't have anything better to do because my life sucks. They may not say that, but that's kind of what they're saying, right? No, we don't. We're the ones who are willing. They have to be wanting, but you have to set it up the right way in order for that to happen. So if I could open up a door to the couple, I'll tell you, and now here, I don't know what could come out of it. I don't know where it could go. In fact, I don't even know that they'd be willing to have the conversation. But if I could open a door for you to have a conversation with a couple like that, here's what I know. I know what they've done for us in our life and the changes that they've helped us make. Perhaps that same pathway could be available to you. Perhaps they'd be willing to get involved in your life if you guys had a good connection. And again, that's the cart before the horse. I don't know where this could go. But if I could open up that door, is that something that you would place a high value on? Now, there's only two answers to this question. What are they?
Yes, sir. Heck yes.
Yeah, that's it. It's yes or big yes. That's it. Those are the only two answers available. Right? No. But again, I usually don't get no's by the time I get all the way down to that point. But I've had a little bit more practice since. You may get no all the time for now. But as long as you're huddle playing in between, there's lots of good things that you'll learn. There's lots of good things that you'll gain.
Okay, so that was all that I could take of that audio. But that little bit at the end, like, as long as you're huddle playing, as long as you are screenshotting your text messages with your recruits and sending those screenshots to your upline so that they can tell you what to say next, as long as you're talking to them about the conversations that you're having in the marketplace, or if you have a phone call with like a close friend or something and you're talking about your business, just record the phone call without their knowledge and then send that over to your upline so your upline can listen to your phone call recording and tell you what you could tweak in order to master your story. So as long as you do that, you should be able to learn how to tell your story effectively. This is just the initial conversation. We're not even talking about the PQI, the pre-qualifying interview, where you actually sit down and talk about business without talking about Amway. You just give them the book, The Business of the 21st Century, or Who Moved My Cheese, and then have them read that book and then come back for another meeting, which is the QI, which is a whole other set of conversations that you have to memorize in order to know what the script is for. And then you get to the information session where the guy up at front talking about the business opportunity knows how to craft this narrative and build this story up so that in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the hour-long meeting that you have, they finally drop the name Amway and lay out the whole business structure in that 10 minutes so that you're intrigued to learn more, and you've already had a full hour of brainwashing before you even hear the name Amway. Like, the manipulation and the amount of indoctrination of like, this is all that you have to learn in order to communicate what you do to people. And this is how you recruit people without feeling like you're recruiting. So then you feel like you're a good connector and you feel like you're a good person, part of this big thing, and you're doing something really important. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I think that this audio I put off for a lot of reasons. I put it off because I really have a particular dislike for the person who was speaking for multiple reasons, not just the fact that they were my upline. It's also incredibly tedious. Like, this is kind of a weird thing to do on a live stream because it's so tedious to learn the ins and outs of manipulative conversations and how to be calculating and manipulative in a conversation with someone while still trying to feel like a good person. And the fact that it was 2.5 years, it was every single day of going out and having these conversations. I'd go to Target, I'd talk to people while I'm donating plasma, and then I'd go to Walmart at 2 a.m. if I still hadn't finished my conversation goal for the day. And you can't work someone that much, have them staying up until 2 a.m. most days of the week, and then have them go out into the marketplace and not have an agenda and come across as genuine, even though you specifically told them to flip the dynamic and have them sell to you. It just blows my mind. Anyway, we have more to talk about with Amway. Let me know if you have any Amway books or from the book list that you'd like me to review. Obviously, I told you I'm going to be doing Live the Let Go Life next. I don't know exactly when this is coming up because this is all the BS that I'm going to have to put myself through in order to actually do a review of that book. But man, it's tough stuff, man. But I'm ready to kind of put this in the past and move forward. So obviously I'll still be talking about Amway. It's part of my story, and it's something that now, as a small business owner who actually is making money from doing honest work and being able to be very upfront about it, and I know how to tell my story, and it took me 0.3 seconds to know it because it's my story and I don't have to craft it in a special way so that people can understand what I'm doing. Now I'm actually learning how to run a business. I'm actually learning what it takes to get people on board and what it takes to make money, honestly, and be independent. I am earning my financial independence and my freedom. And now I'm actually on a track of making all those dreams come true in an honest and genuine way that doesn't take advantage of other people, but actually helps people. Super excited about that. So we're going to continue talking about these kind of themes, but we're moving forward because it's time. I don't want to continuously think back to these years and just, I don't know. I want to be done with it. I'm so glad I'm done with these audios because, ew. You know what I mean? Okay. So let me just quick look over the chat. You guys are so awesome. I'm so grateful for you guys showing up. Yeah. Thank you for all your comments. You guys were making me laugh throughout this whole thing. But yeah, we're rising from the ashes of this. If you were caught up in this kind of thing and you were hurt just as much as I was, yeah. I hope that you're finding ways to move past this and to grow from it. So tomorrow I'm going to be uploading about sustainable health and what I'm doing now that I am at my parents' house, and talking about my approach to health and how it's changed a little bit. And next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about going from pain to progress. So I will be talking about how to turn a negative situation and how to start turning that to help other people and turn that around for yourself. So we're still growing, we're still healing, and we're moving forward. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining. I love you guys so much. And this was fun. This was a good live stream. Let me know if you want me to do this again sometime. We might be able to make this a thing. So, okay. Bye.